I supposed to? Welcome, 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 welcome to Sunday Celebration. Here where we are celebrating your spiritual magnificence. Our vision is to create a world that works for everyone, to provide spiritual tools for transformation, and our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. Wherever you are on your spiritual path, we want you to know that you are welcome here. We believe that we are co-creators with the divine and that you can change your entire life by how? Yes. Our founder is Ernest Holmes, and we teach the philosophy of universal truths found in all spiritual teachings, both traditional and contemporary. So we study the Bible and Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle, Louise Hay, all of the wonderful teachers. So please visit our website at cslcapecoral.org for prayer requests and use the Contact Us tab so we can get in touch with you and we can get your comments or questions. And right now is our meditation portion of our service. And we have the lovely and the magnificent Pam Lambert. You ready?
I'm ready. Thank you. Good morning. So, thank you for joining me today, and it's so good to be back in my spiritual home. Our monthly theme is a pause for guidance, and we had a meditation retreat yesterday, so that fits right in with our theme. So today I have about a 10-minute meditation where we can sit back and take a little trip and relax. So if you'll just close your eyes, if you feel comfortable, relax. Relax your hands, relax your legs, sit back, knowing that you are always fully supported. The chair supports you, and so does spirit. So this meditation kind of goes along with what we're doing in our journey here at the center about the past and the future. So if you just sit up comfortably and surrender your body into the safety of the furniture that is supporting you. Join me in taking a deep breath in and letting it go. Take another deep breath in and exhale completely. Take another breath in, letting it go. Make some sound if you'd like. Continuing to breathe in and out at your own pace. And close with your eyes closed. Shut out all the distractions of your daily life just for this little bit. Let your body relax just a little bit more with each breath. Inhaling relaxation and exhaling any tension that might be making its home in your body or your mind. Inhaling relaxation, exhaling tension. Allowing yourself to be more and more calm and relaxed with each breath. If you remember that your imagination is a powerful tool and that you can access this at any time in any circumstance, you can use your imagination to take yourself back to a favorite place in nature, wherever is your favorite place, a place where you feel most at home with yourself. So in this favorite peaceful place, just look around, walk around, and absorb the sights, the sounds, any fragrances. Maybe stopping to observe or pick up a shell or a flower or a special stone. And while you're walking around this special favorite place, you find yourself standing in front of a lovely bench, pausing for a moment. When you find it, noticing what color is it? What's it made of? How big is it? And now feeling so tired and you need a little rest, you go ahead and sit down on this bench right in the middle. That bench is there to hold you and support you on this journey. You're relaxing and sitting in the center of this bench, simply focusing on your breath. It flows in, it flows out, just resting and being peaceful. Noticing any thoughts that are floating on the surface of your mind, just notice them. It's okay. Accept them, watch them come and go, thanking each thought for coming, and then watching it leave. And in between the thoughts, just rest in the silence. Now you notice that two beings have come to join you on your bench. One is sitting on your left, and the other is on your right. They feel friendly and safe. So if you feel comfortable, turn towards the figure on your left. This is the past you. This is the you that you were yesterday or last year. Take a look at this part of you now and listen. What are they saying to you? The past, you, might be talking about regrets or happy memories or transformation. Just listen, not judging this part of you or trying to talk back to it. It is a valid part of you, this past you. It has important information to give you. Just listening, accepting, feeling whatever you're feeling, and letting it be okay. And now, having listened to this part of you from the past, nod to it, and then if it feels okay to you, turn to the figure that's on your right. This is the future you. This is the you that you will be tomorrow, or the next day, or a year from now. Taking a look at this part of you, listening in. What is your future self saying to you right now? Future you might be telling you all the things that you have to do to get where they want to be in the future. This part of you might be telling you all the things that could possibly happen between now and then. Just listen. Not judging this part of you or trying to talk back to it. The future self is a valid part of you. It has important information to give you. Just listening now and accepting. Feel whatever you're feeling and letting it be okay. And now, still sitting in the middle of your bench, the past you on your left, the future you on your right, firmly tell these two parts of you that you'd like a little more space, and ask them to move further away from you on the bench. Notice how good it feels to have an amount of space between your past and the now and your future. If it feels right, go ahead and thank the past self and the future self for joining you today. And then ask them to leave you alone for a while. Notice how easily they get up and walk away after they've been listened to. And now notice how it feels to be free, free of the past you and free of the future you. Just sitting on the bench. Just your own beautiful self in the here and now. The past is gone and the future is absent. You are sitting in this beautiful space and inhabiting this beautiful moment right here and now. And you can feel how precious this present moment is. You are simply being. You are simply being here. You are simply being here now. Savoring the quiet in and out flow of your breath, resting in the present moment, feeling fully present and fully alive. If the past you or the future you venture back to whisper in your ear, just notice this and acknowledge them, and then let them go. Resting in the inhale and resting in the exhale. Resting in this moment, the only moment that matters. And now, rising from your bench, taking in the beautiful view you've created here, and knowing that you can come back at any time just by closing your eyes and imagining it. finding a gentle way now to bring yourself back into your physical body, feeling your feet on the floor, noticing the position of your legs, feeling your back against the chair, maybe slowly moving your head from side to side. Wiggling your feet, moving your fingers, following the sound of my voice back to this room, this place, this time. And when you are ready, gently opening your eyes. There is no rush. I will wait for you. Take your time and remember that all is well.
Thank you, Pam. All is well. And so now we are going to bring this feeling down into our bodies, get a little groove on with our Big Love Band. So give them a big warm welcome.
Good morning. Okay, so these two songs, I'm sure you all have memorized by now. So stand up and sing with us and dance with us. We have new songs next month, so let's send these out with a big love bang. My church is nature. My God is a feeling. It lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Everyone has a story. Everyone has pain. When we strip away our masks, we find we're really all the same. Those little things we say and do that can mean so much. It's a smile, a connection, a simple loving touch. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling. It lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Every day. Today I'm gonna ask myself, what more can I do to be a radiant child of God and let my love shine through? I'm gonna let my heart be my guide to give the best of me. I'm gonna share my joy, share my love, give it boundlessly. My religion is kindness. My church is nature. My God is a feeling. It lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day. Every day. Go, Scott. Of water, but then Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill kept running after. He said, Jack, tell me, what can I do to help me ease your mind? He said, hold my hand and just be kind, and oh, I'll be fine.
My religion is kindness.
My church is nature. My God is a feeling. It lives deep inside. My job is to be conscious. My path is forgiveness. My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day.
Every day.
My religion is kindness, and I practice it every day.
Every day.
Woo! Now we're going. So please remain standing. Don't sit down. This is the time where we do our blessing, Reverend Gregory. So please repeat with me, warm up your hands, and send out this love vibration. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. We know who you truly are. You are the spiritual image and likeness of God. We appreciate you, we love you, and we are thankful you are here. Welcome to the center. Woo!
You know the tune. Top 10. Am I on? How am I doing? It's an old joke. Doesn't matter where they come from. Doesn't matter what their name. Doesn't matter what they look like, or if they've been unjustly blamed. Doesn't matter how they're different. Doesn't matter how they pray. The only thing that really matters is that you love them anyway. Love them anyway, each and every day. No matter what they say, love them anyway. Love them anyway, each and every day. No matter what they say, love them anyway. Love them any way that you can, and you'll discover. Love them any way that you can, you'll is something deep within that you'll uncover, and that thing within is always loving you. Doesn't matter how they're different, doesn't matter how they pray. The only thing that really matters is that you love them anyway. Doesn't matter if they're many or if they're standing all alone. It doesn't matter their advancement or if their tools are made of stone. It doesn't matter if they're richer. It doesndoesn't matter if they're not. It doesn't matter if their homeland is freezing cold or blazing hot. Love them anyway, each and every day, no matter what they say. Love them anyway, love them anyway, each and every day, no matter what they say. Love them anyway, love them anyway that you can. Love them any way that you can, you'll find it's true. There is something deep within that you'll uncover, and that thing within is always loving you. Doesn't matter how they're different, doesn't matter how they pray. The only thing that really matters that you love them anyway. The only thing that really matters is that you love them anyway. Thank you. Thanks to backup singers.
Wow. This is so much different in person. I've been watching online for 2 months. So I would encourage all you online people to get a trip down here. Come on down. Yes, it's so different. So my name is Pam Lambert, and I'm a practitioner here, and I have the honor and the privilege and the responsibility of being a member on your leadership council. So, well, a member of the leadership. So I had something all set up, and then at like 4 o'clock this morning, I thought, the theme is emerging, reemerging, rise and reemerge. I have rise and reemerge. And God has such a wonderful sense of humor. So I looked at our past themes ever since, well, first of all, Reverend Shell stepped down in March, and immediately we have found out with my order of service that I put out that what Reverend Shell was doing, we now have 17 people doing. So kudos to Reverend Shell. Yeah, so we have 17 now people doing what Reverend Shell was doing. But interesting, when she left, the first month that she stepped down, the month was open to possibilities. April was stepping into the unknown, which was definitely so. May was holy, holy uprising, and we've had a lot of workshops and relationships and communications, and that Reverend Gregory's been leading us. June was the soul's call and pushed by pain. July was pulled by vision, and we've started visioning for our new minister. And this month is a pause for guidance. And we had a meditation workshop yesterday. So you've got to love Spirit leading the way. And I did bring a little reading. I have to show this book, this little book. This is a book it's The Power of Your Thought by Norman Lundy. And Norman Lundy was our sponsor 50 years ago. He founded the Fort Lauderdale Church, and he was our sponsor here in Cape Coral. And so he wrote a thing about the power of your thought. And then I'll follow that up with something by Ernest Holmes, and then we'll take that into prayer. Norman Lundy in 1973 said, "We are forever forming our experiences, good or bad, by our own pattern of thinking. What we think motivates our actions and brings into our lives the harvest of our thoughts. There is an immutable law of life that will produce for us exactly what we give it through our thinking. I have never heard of a successful businessman who believed in failure, nor have I ever heard a man believing in failure becoming a success. Saying it differently, you are not what you think you are, but what you think you are." Right thinking is a process of focusing the attention affirmatively on a specific goal. When you have achieved this, you will be moved to the kind of action necessary to make the goal a living reality. And that was Norman Lundy. And Ernest Holmes says in Effective Prayer, "We are surrounded by an infinite law that can do anything. It does not know anything about big and little. But what the law does for us, it must do through us. We must consciously and subjectively accept only that which we wish to experience. We need to be more concerned about getting our thoughts straightened out than about the results that will follow, because they will follow automatically as day and the night and the day." So, if we can just put that into prayer, settling back for just a minute, knowing that there is just this infinite source, this one mind that flows through and throughout all of its creation. And we are all divine expressions, allowing Spirit to know itself through us. So today I am so grateful. I am so grateful for this spiritual home for many of us. I'm grateful for each and every person in the sanctuary today and those watching us online, watching us in the future. I'm grateful for all the hearts and hands that are helping make this possible every Sunday and 7 days a week for our spiritual home. I'm grateful for those people on whose shoulders we stand, and grateful for the people here, and grateful for those that come after us. I am just so grateful for life itself. I let it be, let it go, and together we can say, and so it is. Thank you. And now I have the privilege to introduce Reverend Gregory Toole, who is our interim minister here from California.
Thank you very much, and it is good to be here from California. Yes, I've been here all week. It's been a really wonderful week, except it's gone too fast. I'm going back home tomorrow to California, so But good to be here today and in person and not on the screen and seeing you all on the screen. It's an amazingly different experience. You all look so much better like here in person. What an amazing service here. Thank you to the Big Love Band. Thank you to, yes. Thank you to Ralph for that beautiful song. Thank you so much, Ralph. And Ralph, Ralph is following me around or I'm following him around. We have to figure that out because my last interim ministry assignment was in Columbus, and there was Ralph playing music there. And then I arrived here, and Ralph's playing music here. So thank you, Ralph. Yes, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Linda. And we had Linda led a beautiful meditation retreat yesterday. We had a really good time here. We were chanting and going into silence. We were dancing even at the end. We were doing our trance dance and moving around. We pushed all the chairs back. So if you feel some beautiful energy in here, then you know why, because we were stirring it up yesterday. Yeah, and Linda's going to do that every quarter, she's telling us here. So there will be more opportunities to do that. And what a beautiful time to do that when we're talking about rise and reemerge. Rise and reemerge from first taking a rest, first taking a look within, but then eventually we rise and we reemerge. Eventually we come back into what life is calling us into with that expanded consciousness, with that consciousness from tapping in to source. Eckhart Tolle, I want to speak a lot. I'm teaching this class, facilitating this class on the book The Untethered Soul by, did I say Eckhart Tolle? Michael Singer. We'll probably do some Eckhart Tolle somewhere in there. Teaching this class based on The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And, my own experience this week was very related, because I was reviewing the material to facilitate the class, and there I was reviewing the material. I was reviewing the material. This was not for me. I'm just reviewing the material so that I can facilitate the class for the people in the class, right? You understand that? I was just reviewing. Wasn't supposed to touch me at all. Wasn't supposed to get into my consciousness. I wasn't supposed to get any transformation or breakthroughs or opening. I was just, reviewing. However, I started reading this one part that said, as you look out through your disturbed energy, everything is distorted by the haze of your disturbance. I'll read that again. As you look out through your disturbed energy, everything is distorted by the haze of your disturbance. And, it's kind of embarrassing sometimes as a minister when you've been on this journey for a long time and you've done all kinds of deep work and all kinds of transformation. It's kind of embarrassing even when no one's looking to discover something like that and go, oh, that's me right there. Because I was having some experiences where I was allowing myself to get off center. Anyone ever allow themselves to get off center, or are you all just centered 24/7, grounded? I'm so happy to be with this enlightened crowd because I'm going to just absorb some of that enlightenment that you all have. But I was allowing myself to get off center in certain situations and circumstances. And so I was in that distorted energy. I was in that disturbance. And the bad part about that is when we live from and move from and act from and decide from that distorted place, what do you think happens? Do you think we make really good decisions and we engage with people in really good ways? Anyone ever at like midnight decide you're going to reply to an email that you're really charged about? Like, how dare they say that to me? And you sit down at your computer and write out an email and send it out. And then like great results come back, right? The people say, thank you so much for that email. Probably not, right? But it's really that sometimes that distorted energy that we're responding from, that distorted energy that we're acting from. My predecessor, when I worked at the home office of Centers for Spiritual Living, Reverend Alice Bandy, who has since passed, they tell me that when someone on her staff was in that disturbed energy, was in that distortion, that she would send them home. She would say, go home for the day, because you're not going to do any good work here today. And I think there's a lot of wisdom to that. So many of our bad decisions, so many of our things that end up causing harm and causing difficulty is because we're in that disturbed, distorted energy. And this came up yesterday because we were in the meditation retreat, and we're learning to ground ourselves, to center ourselves. And what if, this book, The Untethered Soul, if there's any key point in that book, it is to live a centered life, to live from our center, to not live from disturbed, distorted energy. What if it really is that simple? I tend to think in terms of things being really simple. I mean, I wrote a book called A Simple Guide to Planetary Transformation. That was the title of the book, A Simple Guide to Planetary Transformation. And it was like, I think, 100 pages. Small book, too. It wasn't even a really big book. 100 pages, A Simple Guide to Planetary Transformation. Because I believe, and my experience is, that sometimes we make things overcomplicated. And we go down a path of thinking that there's more and more to learn, and I just got to learn this more and more and more. And sometimes that's true, but sometimes we just have to take what we know, the simple truth that we know, and actually practice it, and actually put it into practice in our life. The simple truth, for example, that's like the core of science of mind, that God is all there is. That ought to just take care of everything right there. Right? We say like, oh, I got a problem with this person. I don't like this person. Oh, wait, God is all there is. So who is that person? Anyone know? Anyone know the answer? That person is God. So who do you have a problem with? You got a problem with God. Sometimes we're acting from that distorted energy, and that's not our best place. What if we could just come back to center? What if whenever you're in that disturbed energy, we know when we're in that disturbed energy, we know when we start to feel stirred and the anger arises and the fear arises and our doubts come in, that's the disturbed energy. Because when we're centered and we're grounded, then we're in that unity energy, we're in that oneness energy, we're in that harmony energy. That's the energy, that's our natural, by the way, that's our natural state. Our natural state is to be centered. Our natural state is to be in harmony. Our natural state is to be in love. Our natural state is to be in wholeness and infinite wisdom and intelligence. So sometimes we have to take a step back, whether that just be going within to meditation or whether that be taking a little break and stepping away from the activity, the person, the activity, our job, whatever it is. I remember years over the years, really, in my corporate career, I had a pattern. And that pattern was I would just get caught up in my to-do list. And on that to-do list, I would just keep going, and I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't stop. It's like, no, I got more to do. And so my coworkers would come by and say, we're going to go out, grab a bite to eat. You want to come with us? And I'd say, no, I got too much work to do. And they would finally convince me, come on, come out with us. And I would go. And the result was the same every time. The work still got done. And it got done so much better because I came back with this new perspective, this refreshed perspective, instead of my distorted consciousness, where I was in that pattern. Anyone ever make stuff up? Anyone ever make stuff up about your life? That was me making stuff up. No, I have to stay here because, and on all the reasons, I made it up. I came back, I got more work done the next day because I took a break and went out with my coworkers. We make so much up, but then we think that is the reality of our lives. So I want to go through a few things today about rising and reemerging. And I want to also refer to Ernest Holmes' quote, one of my favorite ones, where he says, "To the person who can perfectly practice inaction, all things are possible." And some would say he borrowed that from Taoism. To the person who can perfectly practice inaction. This is Ernest Holmes, our founder, right? To the person who can perfectly practice inaction, all things are possible. And I think the key word in that sentence is perfectly practice. Because to perfectly practice inaction is to be in balance with action and inaction. To know when to move and when to be still. And sometimes we just need to be still. Sometimes we're acting from we're taking steps, we're doing things, we're making things happen, but we're moving from our distorted energy. But what if we could say, this is not a time to act. This is a time to get still. This is a time to go within. Whenever we're in our fear, our doubt, our sense of separation, like there's this other person, and oh, that person, boy, we're just so upset with them. Some people used to say, well, I want to wring their neck. We don't wring necks anymore. That was the old days. Whenever we're in that consciousness, it's time to pause, right? It's time to take a pause. It's time to take a breath. And sometimes we will have to act, right? Because action is needed right now. But there's never a time where we can't just take a breath and say, before I act here, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to center myself just with a breath. One breath. One breath can make all the difference in the world. I'm going to just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath with me right now, if you will. Just take a nice deep breath and let it out with a nice sigh. See, the whole room shifts just with that. The whole room shifts just with that one breath. Because whatever we were holding on to, we just released. And the breath is so powerful. So we keep coming back to center whenever we're in that distorted consciousness. So, first step, I've got 4 steps here today. First step is, if I can find them on my notes here, I got this whole design here on my iPad. There we go. I'm back to center. See, I wasn't at center. I was all the way off to the right of the whole thing. Now I'm back to center. It all makes sense now. It's all clear. So the first step is actually a prelude. There's actually 3 steps. The first one is a prelude, and the prelude is to step away from the situation. To just step away, to just step back, whether that be through taking a breath, whether that be through going within and meditating for a while, or whether that literally be physically removing ourselves from the situation. Like, I'm going to go take a walk around the block, or I'm going to go take over to the restroom, right? At work, right? That's a great place. No one can ever tell you can't go to the restroom, right? So it's like, okay, if I need to get away, I can go to the restroom for a moment, right? And just take a break. Just take a moment to get centered. Take a moment to get grounded. Take a moment to come back into the truth of who we are, where things look more clear. When we're in that centered consciousness, we're never wanting revenge. We're never wanting to, get somebody back. We're never wanting to, we're never seeing these divisions that we see when we're in distorted consciousness. Some examples in the world, right? The vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers. Anyone ever hear of those? It got real quiet in here. Everyone got a little worried. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands as to which. That's distorted consciousness, not whether you're for or against vaccinations. That's not distorted, right? That's just our opinion or what we sense is right for us. The distorted consciousness is when we're like, I am right and you are wrong. That's distorted consciousness. It's like, take a breath. Take a breath, because when you take a breath, when you come to center, all you see is oneness and unity. You don't see those distortions, that someone's right, someone's wrong. All these situations that we run into in life. Your friend says something you don't like. If we allow ourselves, we can end up in distorted consciousness. Right? Because we get stirred up. The mind starts to go. and suddenly we're in distorted consciousness because the disturbance is overcoming us, and now we're in distorted consciousness. What if we sat and centered ourselves before we took any action on that? Before we went and told our friend off, or before we told other people about it, or before we did anything, what if we took a deep breath, got centered, and acted from our clear awareness of oneness, of truth? So much different of a response. So the first step is to step away. Or that's the prelude. Remember, that's the prelude. But the first real step, the first actual step, is self-awareness. Can I come into an expanded awareness of myself and an expanded awareness of the situation? And we can only do that through the centered consciousness. We can't do that in a distorted consciousness. Everything looks distorted in there. Everything looks different in there, in that consciousness. We're talking today about where do you move from? Sometimes we're always talking about where do you move to and what do you do, but we're talking today about where do you move from? What is the consciousness that you move from? What is the place that you move from? Because that is what's going to make all the difference in the world. So the first step is self-awareness. One of the really interesting experiences I've had in life is when I went to this 10-day Vipassana meditation retreat. And we were in silence for 10 days. And being in silence for 10 days, I got to really notice what it meant to not be in conversations with people. Because the first couple days, 2-3 days, I was thinking about the conversation I had with so-and-so the other day, and the conversation I had with this other person, and what I should have said, and what I could have said, and how dare they say that. And that's where I was that first 2-3 days. So my mind was cluttered with that stuff. But about the fourth day, I hadn't had any conversations for several days. I'd already processed all the conversations I had had. And my mind got to start to be really quiet. I would just sit down and my mind started to be really quiet. So I had the awareness, this is the self-awareness piece, I had the awareness of the significance of my interactions with others and with the world. Now, does that lead me to say don't have conversations with people? That probably wouldn't be practical. But what it did lead me to say is watch what kind of conversations you have with people. And watch who you have conversations with, because there is an impact. And it's going to be with me, and my mind is going to focus on it. And it also made me realize that sometimes I was in that distorted consciousness, and rather than trying to figure out what I should have said, could have said, what they said, come back to center and see it clearly. Come back to center and see that conversation clearly, rather than be in the distortion of right, wrong, the distortion of our unhealed stuff, if you will. That's a lot of the distortion. A lot of the distortion is that something touches our unhealed stuff. That's what was happening to me. That's what was happening to me this week when I had my little breakthrough in reviewing the untethered soul. As I recognized that instead of working with unhealed pain, unhealed stuff, unresolved stuff in me, I thought, well, wouldn't it be easier to work on it out there? Right? And when I came and centered and stepped back from the distorted consciousness, and I came into my center and I saw things clearly, I realized that all the things that I was trying to change out there, that not a single one of them needed to change at all. None of the people needed to change. None of the circumstances needed to change. Nothing had to be different out there once I was in my clear consciousness, because the disturbance was in me. So if there's a disturbance in me, how am I going to resolve it out there if the disturbance is in me? Or if the disturbance is in you, how are you going to resolve it out there? This sounds a little crazy, right? That we would try to just resolve something out there that's in here, but we do it all the time. We do it all the time. We're out there trying to change people, get people. How dare they? They need to change. They need to be different than they are. Circumstances need to be different. The world needs to be different. Everything needs to be different except for me. I'm perfect. And if the world could just get along and get on board with my plan, then everything would be okay. But it's that disturbance in us that Michael Singer talks about, that inner disturbance that comes from unresolved things in us, that if we could just deal with that. He uses a metaphor of a thorn. And he talks about how you could have a thorn stuck in you somewhere, in your arm, leg, wherever, doesn't matter. And the way we often handle that in life, using that metaphor, is rather than pull the thorn out, we build structures around ourselves to protect ourselves. So no one will get near that thorn, because if anyone rubs up against that thorn, it's going to really hurt. So we build all these structures. You know, we might even build special clothing, you know, maybe build a contraption around it, all kinds of things we would do to make sure nothing touches that thorn. But it's obvious in that metaphor, right, to everyone probably, that the more obvious solution would be just to remove the thorn. Removing the thorn is to resolve those hurt places in ourselves. But in life, oftentimes, that's not what we're doing. When we're hurt, what do? We go, who made you hurt? Who hurt you? Right? Who hurt you? Who did that to you? You know? You come home crying, and someone says, who did that to you? Who made you cry? Someone once said to me, you made my friend cry. I'm like, I did? Am I that powerful? I'm that powerful. Wow, I made her cry. No one makes us anything. We get to, you know, it's not a cold, callous teaching when we teach this. It's just the reality of it. It's not going to be compassionate to tell we think it's compassionate sometimes to say, oh, let's get you away from anyone who will upset you. Let's get you away from it. Oh, those people upset you. Let's get you away from. We can build that little fortress, right, where there's no one around us who will ever disturb that little thorn. Or we could remove the thorn. We could deal with our unresolved pain. We could get still. So the method that Michael Singer offers is we get still and we relax into it. So instead of resisting it, right, like something comes up, right? Something comes up, and let's just say it's a fear of abandonment that gets triggered. So this is a self-awareness. We have to start becoming aware of what is it that's getting triggered in me right now. And the way we get aware of that is we just start to observe rather than resisting. We don't have to try to figure it out. We just start to become self-aware. Like, what's going on in me right now? Really, what's going on in me? In the Conscious Loving book, I taught a class on conscious loving. It deals with the same thing. It's like, see and say the truth. That's how it is in conscious loving terms. See and say the truth. And seeing and saying the truth is not telling your friend off. Often we think like, oh, some people get really excited about that. They go, oh, I'm really good at seeing and saying the truth. I'll tell anyone off. You know, just give me a moment. You know, tell me, you know, put someone in front of me. I'll tell them off in a moment. But it's not talking about that. Seeing and saying the truth is like, you think it's like out there, like, oh, I'm going to see, yeah, you, Kay, I want to tell you. Here's what I want to tell you. Randy, here's what I want to tell you. And I got some things to tell you too, Lynn and Pam. Oh, yeah. We think like, okay, I'm glad this book gave me permission because I got a lot of people I got to tell off. This book says, see and say the truth. Well, I'm seeing it and I'm saying it. Just kidding, everyone. No, not really. But seeing and saying the truth is I'm going to look within, and instead of saying, you made me angry, I'm going to say, wow, I noticed when you said that some anger came up in me, and I'm noticing that I'm angry because of this thing in me. Like I'm angry because I have this need, or I have this need or this want in me, or I have this unfulfilled thing in me, or I have this sensitivity because of a situation I had in the past with a parent or what have you, and I notice that that's getting triggered right now. And we start to have self-awareness about what's really going on with us rather than pointing it out there. So those two books, as you can see, kind of go hand in hand with each other, right? Because we're resolving things in here instead of out there. When we have a disturbance in here, here's the simple part of it, when we want to get to the simplicity of it all. If you recognize that everything that you get upset about is about a disturbance in you and not about anything out there, it makes it really simple. You don't ever have to fix it out there or change it out there. There might be things for you to do out there. You might have to tell someone something. But see, now you're going to tell them through your clear, grounded, centered, loving, wise consciousness, as opposed to your distorted consciousness where you're going to tell them off. And it probably won't have a very good result, because how many of us want to be told off? Not too many of us want to be told off. So the self-awareness piece is so key. That's just the first step. The self-awareness piece of what's really going on. Conscious loving, and I understand in Course in Miracles, they also use this phrase that says, you're rarely upset for the reason you think you are. What's the reason we usually think we're upset? Someone say it. What's the reason we usually think we're upset? Somebody did something. Somebody out there. Something happened out there. That's why we think we're upset. But the real reason we're upset is because of something arising in us. Something happening in us. And the beauty of that is that we're also empowered to be free from it. We're also empowered. I had this when I read that paragraph, first I was embarrassed because I was like, I know this. Why am I doing this? So first I was embarrassed, and I was like, oh, gosh, I thought I would be beyond that. But then I felt this great sense of freedom. It's like, oh my God, I don't have to fix anything out there. All I have to do is center myself and not allow this disturbance to throw me off center. So in Michael Singer's process, we be present to it, we feel it, we fully feel it. We don't resist it at all. It's like, okay, I'm feeling fear right now. Okay, I'm going to fully feel this fear. I'm going to fully feel this fear, and I'm going to be present to it, and then I'm going to just let it pass through me as opposed to where I'm pushing it down. The term in yoga, samskara, he refers to. Samskara is where we have all this built up distorted energy because we haven't wanted to experience life. So we resist life, and we resist feeling those feelings, and we block the energy within ourselves. And when we block that energy within ourselves, now we're just one big distortion because we got all this blocked energy. Anyone ever meet someone that's just totally like distorted energy? Like you could say anything. You could say, you look nice today. And they go, what do you mean by that? No one in here that fits. Right? But we want to start to have that kind of self-awareness. And that's the kind of communities that I really am wanting to create, be part of, work with, whatever you want to call it. And that's what I feel is a leading edge of humanity's growth and consciousness of stepping into, because there's so many examples in the world where we're doing it from this distorted consciousness. Just look around. Everywhere you look, we're trying to solve things from distorted consciousness. And what's the result? It ain't good. If we look at our political parties, Republicans, Democrats, all distorted stuff the way it's being handled. Don't care about the differences of opinion. That's fine. Right? Differences of opinion are fine. But it's all in how we're approaching each other. There's totally distorted energy. None of it's like from the centered place of clarity, of oneness, of unity, of love, of compassion, of wisdom. A lot of fear. A lot of fear. A lot of sense of separation. What's really interesting to me about the political parties is they both think that the other is going to try to control everyone. Right? If you talk to someone who's liberal, they're like, oh yeah, they're trying to control us. They're going to be set up an authoritarian. And then if you talk to conservatives, they're like, oh, they just want to control us. It's all about control. So everyone's got this fear of being controlled. And interestingly enough, it's like, could we really be controlled? Could anyone really control us? Not really. Not really, because they can't change how we view things, how we think of things, how we choose to experience life. So, first step, self-awareness. That's a big step. It all starts with self-awareness. We have to have that self-awareness, otherwise we're acting from distorted consciousness and we're dealing with totally the wrong thing. We're putting our energy in totally the wrong place. All of our energy is out there trying to fix things, and the real thing is, can I work on what's right here? Can I really take a good look at what's going on with me? All right, the other steps are much easier. Second step, spiritual alignment. Spiritual alignment. Just coming into center. Just coming into center, taking a breath, doing our meditation, looking at what is the real spiritual truth of the matter. And if we don't know a lot about the spiritual principles, let's say in science of mind, it doesn't really matter, because if we just come back to the principle of oneness, that all of life is one and all of life is God, that's enough. You can ride that all the way. There's a problem. Okay, well, God is all there is. God is all there is. God is love, wholeness, harmony. So where are you seeing something other than that? That's a disturbance in us. I had a situation because I used to have this big thing about control. Because of some of my background, I internalized some things. And though if I perceive anyone was trying to control, maybe I was talking about me a little ago now. If I perceived anyone was trying to control me, that was a real trigger for me. That was a big trigger for me. But one of the awakenings I had was I was at a social event, and I was watching this person that I was getting really triggered watching this person. And I was watching them, and I was like, look how controlling they are. Oh, this is terrible. I mean, I was just getting into it. I mean, the disturbance was big. I was just all stirring up in me. And I was like, look how controlling that person is. And I was so clear that I was right. And I was like so clear that like, this is ugly. This person is so darn controlling, right? And and they weren't even doing anything with me. It was other people. They were like, look how they're being to Susie, and look how they're being to John, and look how they're being to Mary. They're so controlling. But then I had a moment where I relaxed into it, and I took a breath, and I looked around the room, and the only one in that room who was upset was moi. No one, all the people who I thought, how dare that person treat Mary that way? My goodness, poor Mary, she's controlling her and blah, blah, blah. Mary was totally happy. I don't remember the names of the people, even doesn't matter. Everyone else was having a grand old time. They were just laughing, having a good old time. Nobody was upset with this person that I was saying, look how controlling they are. The disturbance was in me. The story was in me. The trigger was in me. Once I resolved that, once I got clear on that, and once I began to embrace that as my issue and my disturbance and my healing, I hardly ever see anyone that I think is controlling anymore. Did all the controlling people suddenly go away? Was there a spaceship that said, okay, controlling people, we're taking you all up to another planet? I mean, is that what happened? I mean, I guess that's possible. All the controlling people left the planet. This is great. Science of mind is powerful. All the controlling people left the planet. No, it never was out there. It never was out there. It was all in here. It was all my perception, because people are just doing what they're doing. That's a label I put on it, right? People are doing what they're doing, and they get to do what they do. I had a friend, we used to say, let the people be the people. Let people be who they are. No one has to change for us to be okay. That can be a really hard one to get, because sometimes we can really make up a story and convince ourselves that someone really does have power over us and someone really can do something to us. It's a story. It's a story. I can tell you because every time I've had that story and I really examined it in the light of truth and let go of all the disturbance in here, it has never been true, not even once. And I've been around for a few decades, well, not to say how many, but, I've been around for a few decades, and not once, when I really went into centered consciousness, clear consciousness, not one single time was there a situation where someone actually had power over me. Not even bosses, right? That would be an example. Someone would come up to me after, right, and say, "What about my boss?" What about your boss? Boss doesn't have any power over you, because ultimately we get to decide how we're going to experience life. And we're not really getting upset because of the things out there. Like your boss might say, "I want you to do these tasks," and we get upset and we think it's because of the task. That's not even why we're upset. So when we get down to why we're really upset, then we're empowered to change it. Then we're empowered to look at it with clear consciousness and recognize the disturbance was always right here. And if I act from that disturbance, I'm going to act from distorted consciousness. And if I act from distorted consciousness, it ain't going to look pretty. Probably every one of us have acted from distorted consciousness. Just remember a time when you were really in some distorted consciousness, and how did that go? I know for me, that is not a pretty picture when I've acted from distorted consciousness. It's like I'm thinking of like cleaning up messes after that. So the third step and final step today is spiritual discernment and higher choices. We've got the self-awareness, we come to the spiritual truth, and then it's like, now, how am I going to choose to be from here? Where am I going to choose to go with this now? And the only choice really is love. It's to love every person, embrace every person, take responsibility for your disturbances, get centered, get grounded, and don't live from distorted consciousness. Just live from centered consciousness. Live from centered consciousness. There's somewhere in all of us where we know what centered consciousness is. Because I'm standing here and I'm like, maybe not everyone knows what centered consciousness is or knows how to get there. But there's something in all of us that knows what that is. To take a breath, to get still. And it's a practice. It's a practice. To stay with that practice of getting still. And if you're in that agitated space, step back a little bit. Don't send that email just yet. Don't have that conversation just yet, if possible. It's been amazing to me, the most difficult conversations when I'm in centered consciousness. Because I get to, as a minister, and I was at home office, and I even worked with, even like the ethics department was under my responsibility when I was at home office. So anyone think I've gotten to have some difficult conversations in my lifetime? What's amazing is in centered consciousness, even those most difficult of difficult conversations and situations aren't even hard. Aren't even a little bit hard. Take a breath, if you will, right now. Take a breath. Come back to yourself. This is why I say we all know this, because it's not coming to something foreign. Come back to yourself. Soften your eyes. Loosen your grip a little bit. Come back to love. Allow that peace that passes all human understanding to fill you up. And most importantly, remember that you are whole, perfect, and complete. As Michael Singer said, most of the disturbance is because we don't think we're okay. We think we don't think other people are okay, but we don't think we're okay, and that causes a disturbance. So come back into, right now, the remembrance that you are whole, perfect, and complete, and that there is nothing whatsoever wrong with you. Let's close by doing an affirmation together here. If you're willing, I invite you to repeat after me. If you're willing, I rise above all distortions. I remember that I am divine. I remember that all whom I meet are divine. I live from my centered consciousness. And all is well. Thank you. And so it is. Yes. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, you all are very kind. Let's close with a brief prayer here. And so we just turn within to know this great truth that God is, and there is nothing else. That my life is a divine expression of that one whole, perfect, and complete, and that everyone I meet is the beloved of the beloved. And there is nothing else, and there is no one or nothing outside of that truth. All whom I meet are God. Every experience I have is an experience of God calling me into my greater evolution as a soul here having a human experience. And so I know right here and right now that as we say yes to living in centered consciousness, releasing distortions and not acting from distortions, that everything that we need to fulfill that, if we are saying yes to it, that everything we need to fulfill that intention is right there within us right now, because infinite power, creativity, intelligence, wisdom, love are right there at the center of each one of us. And so I know right now that awareness, that consciousness is expanding in us right now, and everything that would have us hold on, that would have us in distortions, that would have us act from any place that is other than the greatest truth of our being, which is love, which is wholeness and perfection, is right now released. And so there we are in the pure godliness, divinity that we are, and all is well. In gratitude, I release this, I let it be, and I invite you to ground it with me with the words, and so it is. Amen. All right, so yeah, now it's time to just pull out your checkbooks, your wallets, your purses, just throw them up here. And no. That's a new script. Oh, that's not the script. Sorry, Melissa. That's not the script you gave me. Okay, let's. Isn't it a joy, though, to contribute financially whatever we can to spiritual community? You know, the beauty in Center for Spiritual Living, the beauty in Center for Spiritual Living is there's no obligation, right? You're not doing it from obligation, you're doing it from love. And so whatever you give from love, right, and your own heart of knowing that this is what I have to give, and you give in the greatest way you know how and the greatest way you can, that is, we're grateful for that. And that is blessed, and that's all you need to do. So no one has to feel bad, like if you can't give as much as someone else or whatever. That's the beauty of this teaching. So we show gratitude for all that we experience here. Many ways to give. You can text your donation to 239-320-3820. Look at that. It's all right up there. Beautiful. You can send your gift through PayPal using PayPal at cslcapecoral.org, or you can just go to the website, cslcapecoral.org. You can also mail a check, just the old-fashioned way, to CSL Cape Coral at 406 Southeast 24th Avenue, Cape Coral, Florida 33990. Many ways to support our spiritual home. And so right now, if it's comfortable for you, I invite you to hold your gift between your hands and let us say our affirmation together here. Today, I know the activity of divine abundance is at work in my life and the life of this center. I give and receive generously as I live in the flow of bountiful good. And so it is. And so how are we doing this now? We got, like in the corners, we got the baskets in the corners. Is that how that works? Yep. All right. So you all know how to do it. Thank you so much. We bless these gifts, and we know that they go forward to bless so many and to expand the work of this center as we start to step into this new period where we start to call in the next senior minister that will build on and stand on the shoulders of all that came before. We have a couple previous ministers here today, and we give thanks for all that they have done, and now we continue to give so that the work that they have done and the contributions in sacred service and the ways that they have been of service just continue to flow forward for those in the present and those in the future. And so I just bless our gifts and know that so much good comes, and then also beautifully they return to us, heaped up, pressed down, and running over. We cannot outgive God. I give thanks, and so it is. Thank you.
Good morning, all of my lovely light workers out there. My name is Melissa Tuff, and I am a practitioner here at the Center for Spiritual Living Cape Coral. And I am here to be your human invitation for all of the upcoming events we have. And the first thing I want to talk about is our meditation retreat yesterday. A wonderful time was had by all. If you missed it, we will be doing this quarterly. So pay attention to your email and the newsletter. We will have announcements for that coming up soon. And thank you so much to our lovely facilitator, Linda, who put everything together with the food and the arrangements. So thank you so much, Linda. And a big thank you to Reverend Gregory Toole, who also had his part in it. Valerie Dieta, who is not here today, but we love and appreciate her and her amazing voice. And also Barbara Atkins, who generously donated her time to come and play our beautiful Celeste here. And it was amazing and brought so many of us to tears. So we want to just thank everybody who was a part of that. And don't miss the next one. We have a new class that's going to be coming up, facilitated by our wonderful interim minister, Reverend Gregory Toole. Spiritual Principles and Practices, which is a foundations level class. We'll be meeting for 5 weeks on Zoom, Wednesdays beginning October 6th. And we're going the 13th, 20th, we're going to skip the 27th, and then the 3rd and 10th of November from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And the cost of that is $199. You will have a certificate from home office, which there's a portion of that amount that will be going to them. Don't let the price inhibit you, please. Come and speak to one of us in the office or one of our leadership people. We will work with you because everybody should be taking these classes. Foundations is such a wonderful class, and this actually breaks it down a little bit easier because foundations can be quite meaty if you're new to this philosophy. So I highly recommend this class. We'll have more information coming out with registration links, so keep an eye on your emails or check our calendar on our website. The Prosperity Consciousness book study, Can We Talk to God by Ernest Holmes, is continuing. Meets Tuesdays on Zoom from 3:30 to 5 p.m., and it's facilitated by our magnificent Malika Davi and our lovely Linda Lloyd. It is $30 a month. You can visit the calendar at cslcapecoral.org or check your email for the link to register. Come and get your drum on. Monthly, we will be doing a sunset drum circle, and the next one is Saturday, September 4th from 7 to 9 p.m. So bring your drums, shakers, and other percussion instruments and help us serenade the sun into the horizon. We had about 4 or 5 people last month, and we have some extra drums and stuff, so if you don't have one, don't let that encumber you from coming, and all experience levels are welcome. Have you ever wanted to learn more about energy healing? Join Patty Carney. What did you say it was? You say Holy Fire 3 Reiki Master Teacher, and she will be facilitating the instruction of Reiki 1 and 2 on Saturday, October 16th and Saturday, October 23rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can visit our calendar at cslcapecoral.org or check your email for the link to register. And would you like a preview of what Reiki is all about? You can join Patty Carney for a free Reiki session on the first Tuesday of every month. The next one is September 7th, I believe it is. And you can check our website for the registration link or watch your newsletter. We have a Zoom meditation group that is continuing with our amazing practitioner, Karen Gidley, and that is Wednesday evenings from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. She will be doing a spiritual reading, meditation, and then a Q&A/discussion afterwards. There's a $5 suggested love donation, and you can register for that by visiting cslcapecoral.org or using the link in your email. Peace Day in the Park. We have a booth reserved, and we will be needing volunteers for this event. It's always a great event. We will have AM and PM shifts available, so if you're interested in serving at that event, please come and see me, and I'll get you all set up. Midweek Tune-Up continues on Wednesdays. We have been meeting inside since it's been a little bit hot, so it'll be inside or outside, socially distanced with masks optional. We are also forming our new minister selection committee. So if you're interested in serving on this committee, if you've taken a foundations level course and you're an active member of our community, please contact Pam Lambert to see how you can serve. Today, following celebration, we will be celebrating the life of our beloved Joan Walgren. So please stick around for that, and we will also have potluck immediately following. So if you didn't bring anything, don't worry about it. We always have more than enough because we are a masterful manifestation community. Coffee service is also back, so while we are setting up for potluck and the life celebration, help yourselves to some coffee and pastries out in the lobby, and donations are appreciated for that. Our food drive continues, so drop off your non-perishable donations on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 2, Wednesdays during midweek tune-up, or on Sunday mornings. And the Cape Coral Caring Center and us all appreciate your continued support. And now I'm going to ask Mimi to come up for just a second because she is going to talk to us about our art auction.
Hi, everyone. Before I start, I just want to say how wonderful it is seeing so many new faces and so many old familiar faces that are coming back, and I'm just really tickled pink. Anyway, our art auction right now, we're having a silent art auction, and we're featuring Brian Derby's art, and that's going to remain up for one more week. Brian is graciously donating back 50% of his earnings to the center. And then following that, we're going to do what we did a couple years ago. We're going to ask all of you guys to look in your homes and see any art that you used to have or, you know, that you don't use anymore, or is tucked underneath a bed or in the garage or behind a chair, or even art that's on your wall that you already love. But if you want to donate that, we're going to put it all up on the wall. So 100% of that will be donated to the center. And any bric-a-brac to any little statues or knickknacks or anything like that that you would like to donate to. So we'll be starting that next week. We'll be taking Brian's art down, and then we'll be putting that up. And that will continue until the potluck in October, whenever that is. the third Saturday, I guess, in October. And then we'll have the final, third Sunday. And so then we'll have the final, distribution of whoever wins the art. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi. And don't leave today without your 1-minute miracle. Practitioners will be available for prayer immediately following service, and when we have Standing in the Light, we're going to ask them to come on up front so that we can all be identified, and you'll know who to come up to. But don't leave with something heavy on your heart. Let us pray with you for something that you want to see more of. We like to pray for solutions, not problems. And now I will invite the lovely Linda back up to facilitate us in Standing in the Light.
Thank you, Mel. There's a lot of cool stuff going on here, and we had a great turnout at the meditation retreat yesterday, so I hope that keeps going. And now is the time where we take our minds away from situations, circumstances, and that which we are holding in prayer, and we are seeing the possibilities and the potentialities and holding it together in truth. And I am standing in the light for this amazing spiritual center, and just knowing that our new minister is finding its way even now, and I am grateful. Standing in the light for those in New Orleans and all those in the path of the storm. Standing in the light for Callie. Standing in the light for John Williams and his family. Standing in the light for Nicholas and all those in Afghanistan and all of the soldiers. Standing in the light for Gabriel. Standing in the light for all of those in Haiti. Standing in the light for Connor and Sage and the others starting back in college. Ooh, standing in the light for Brian Derby and his 20 years solar return. Standing in the light for all the doctors, nurses, and healthcare providers. Standing in the light for Diane and the rest of Joan's family. And I'm standing in the light for all the unspoken prayers, and I invite you to include your name into this field of love and light. Linda. And how good it is to come together. I'm so grateful for this celebration today and for all those that we have spoken into this beautiful field of prayer, just absolutely knowing that there is that divine love energy that is always here now, guiding us, supporting us, protecting us and that it has gone ahead providing everything that is needed before we can even know that we need it. So I am knowing that we move forth from here today a little bit brighter, a little bit lighter, and just knowing that life is fundamentally, as Reverend Michael used to say, rock bottomly good. So I am knowing it is a great, grand, glorious, good God day. And I invite you to anchor this with me by saying the words, and so it is. Amen.
So blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so
Have a great week, everyone.